It's a weird question to try and distill like one thing you could give people suffering from Lyme and one thing you've kind of seen in your own journey. Can you do it though? Can you kind of give, if you were to give one piece of advice to someone suffering with Lyme right now, chronic Lyme, and really down in the dumps right now, what would that be?
100% easy for me to do this.
Okay.
And, it's basically what I've been saying, but if I need to put it into a sentence, it's follow what shines.
Mm. And if someone's saying, I can't tell what shines right now because I could barely get out of bed.
Well, that goes back to Ben's TED Talk where, I don't want to misquote the title of it. I always do. Is it One Small Breath?
One deep breath.
One deep breath. When he was bedridden and couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't form sentences, he took a deep breath every day.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's all you can do, that's all you can do, but you have to do it. So there was a time in my life where I was gigging in New York City. I had this like standing gig at the Triad where I was playing every Tuesday, and I didn't want to show up. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like going here. I don't enjoy, and this is like what I love more than anything in the whole world. I didn't like it. And my writing partner and my guitar player, Charlie, he was like, well, you're just depressed. He's like, that sounds like depression when you're not enjoying. And I was like, I was so confused. And it was because I was forcing my body and expecting things of my body and my entire being to get up and do things that didn't have the energy for. So of course you're going to hate it. There was pressure. It was too much pressure. And I was not at that time good at removing the pressure like I am now. And so I didn't know what, nothing was shiny then. Nothing. Not acting, not singing, not dancing, not babies, not puppies, not mountains, not,
Mm-hmm.
none of it. And now it's all shiny. And, yeah, sometimes you're not going to be able to see that. And I do think the answer is in the breath, because the reason we can't see those things or we can't connect with them is we're going too fast. And if you're not actively going too fast because you're sick, your body and your systems, all of them are going too fast because they're trying to save you. So the breath is what will bring all of those systems back to a place. And it's just one deep breath, mind you, just one per day. If you can't do that, you're already in your coffin. So, and we all die, PS. So it's like, there's all of this. And then there's, hey, it's going to happen anyway. But, it's if you can't see what's shiny and everything looks dark, you got to rely on your breath to level out all of the things that are crowding and clouding your vision and your view and your experience in the world. And it really, I hated sitting and breathing, hated it. I still don't, I'm not a fan. I have a very hard time with stillness and meditation, but I have found it in other ways. I have found stillness and meditation through writing, and there are ways to bring yourself present. But if you can't move your body and if your psyche can't appreciate anything, just take a friggin' breath.
It's a great starting point for anyone, because you're right. It's the one thing that you most likely can, even if it's not a deep breath, just be conscious of it. How deep can you make it, right? And just be conscious and grateful for that breath, right? And start there. Start with 1, go to 2, go to 1 foot on the ground. Like, you will improve over time, and be patient. I mean, we've seen this a lot. We've heard these stories and your story, and they all have bottomed out and hit the rock bottom before they get back up. But it happens if you allow it to.
And let me say that in physically going into the memory of taking the breath when I was really struggling, like at my lowest, it can happen. What happened to me was that, and I think it happens with a lot of really, really ill people, I would feel my body fight against the breath. So my heart would go like this, it would hurt my head. I was so toxic and tired that even a breath felt harmful. And I have a friend who does, he healed himself from Lyme. I've told you about him, Veer. He's amazing. And he wrote the Liberating Lyme book. I think, did I give it to you? His whole thing was breath work.
Yep.
So he's always trying to get me to do these rapid fire breaths. I'm like, yo, I'm going to die if I do this. Like, I cannot, this feels terrible. You have to, pull it back, way back. And it's like, even if you have to think the breath, think the breath. And if your body begins to fight against it, that's natural. And, it's movement. Movement hurts when you're that sick. It can be really painful. And what you need to do is start moving things. And I know we're talking about stillness and movement in the same breath, right? But it's like the breath is going to, I guess instead, a better word than movement is to create space. So the breath is going to create space, right? Even if it's a small, more oxygen than you breathed your last 40 breaths, creates more space. So if you can just take in a little bit more, then you're going to create space. And the more space that you create, which then invites stillness, right, allows your body's systems, your nervous system, your cardiovascular system, like everything, your digestive system, it allows it all to settle into that rest and digest sort of parasympathetic space where nature takes over and we start to function rightly instead of, by clinging to things and grasping and running. And so, and then I guarantee you things will start to shine. That's why I love Ben's story. He kept his wetsuit out on his chair. And so he could look at it. He's a surfer, and he kept the wetsuit out. And that was something that was a visual reminder. And he maybe couldn't get out of bed. He couldn't put the wetsuit on, but he could see it and seeing things. So that's like in my case, when I didn't even know I was going to do a road trip, I named my car Hollywood. I was living in New York and I'm like, one of these days I'm going to get back on a set, because I got ripped out of my career. It ended. I was too sick. And I had producers writing a spin-off show for me. I was, I'm going to Warner Brothers every day for work in my beat up old white Buick that my parents had shipped out here. Right. We called it the Stormtrooper. But, and, I was climbing that ladder. I was on my way. And then I left because I was just sick. So anyway, point being, I named my car Hollywood just to give myself a destination. Here I am,